Hi, I'm Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, everybody, here we are once again, West Point, Mississippi. Lenny, I've been looking forward to this one for
this is going to be a good one.
A few months, yeah. But before we get started, though, Lenny, you did something to us this past week, and you didn't even realize you did it. I don't think.
What did I do?
We did a podcast teaser for the podcast about the Onyx subscription, the new services that they offer, and you mentioned crack, and Facebook blocked everything that we do.
I wondered why people have been texting me Onyx is like crack.
Yes.
So that's what I said.
And Facebook shut us down.
We really shut you down
because you mentioned crack.
Well,
you've got to be more careful.
I didn't know that. It's the most addictive thing I know of. I guess.
Maybe
have you ever had crack?
So Richie, don't use this as a teaser for sure. For goodness sake. So
I did say that because I did have some text saying Onyx is like crack, but I didn't think I went that far.
You did say that.
I typically go over the line a little bit.
Yeah, you did. So Dudley, I had a question for you. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of red buds right now blooming.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, they're not red, they're purple.
They're purple.
But they're called red buds.
Correct.
And when I Googled it to understand why, I was kind of blown away with the answer.
Well, I don't think the word pink had been invented yet.
Yeah, so what I read, Lanny,
I said they were purple.
It says that originally this tree, according to legend, that this tree it had white blooms, and the redbud tree is the tree that Judas hung himself in, and the tree turned a blood color purple.
Really?
After that, that's what the legend says. I read.
So is that right along with the dogwood story? Isn't it?
It kind of is. You know, I would think somebody that's a dendrologist like Dudley, that would have just popped
My
right
understanding is that some dude came over here to botanize, and it was before the word pink was used in our language.
Okay, so we call it redbud.
So
it's purple, but they wanted to name it pink.
Yeah, it is purple. It's not.
Okay, whatever. Maybe they didn't have purple either back then. But
very possible.
Yeah.
Cercis canadensis.
There you go. You knew that.
See, that's what I call them.
I love seeing them. They're just beautiful. Mac, when you drive to work every day, they're everywhere, aren't they? They're gorgeous.
Well, what's interesting about that is this is the earliest spring in my memory.
Yeah,
and
me
it's
too.
Supposed to be the earliest spring in recorded history in our particular area.
I've never seen it.
But things are blooming in the wrong order. So we have red buds in full bloom, but we have oak trees that are already flowering and beginning to leaf out at the same time.
Right now.
And they're usually, 2 or 3 weeks apart. I saw a dogwood blooming Sunday afternoon on my Sunday stroll in the government woods.
Have you seen a pecan bud yet?
No.
Pecans don't lie.
But they'll probably be really early this year.
Mac, you fact check what you
So my first fact check on the podcast was the first recorded use of the word purple dates back to the late 900s AD.
So it definitely wasn't
they
purple.
had purple.
Well,
what about pink?
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Well, so I tell you what, dude. See, and everybody listen, I found this very interesting. I just Googled why are redbuds called redbuds when they are purple?
Well, look at you, you little Google person.
And it popped up a great story about Judas.
Well, there are some white flowering selections of redbud, just like there are some pink flowering selections of dogwood. It's very rare.
And it mentioned those too.
Yes.
Yeah, it sure did. But I liked that Judas story. I thought that was pretty cool.
Pretty good story.
So, look, today's podcast, we've been kind of courting this guy for a couple of months to try to get him on. And he's got a Instagram page and a website that's just it's just really cool.
It's
really
insane.
Cool.
I mean, I have notifications when he posts so I can immediately check it out.
If you love and are just impressed by nature, you just got to check it out. I mean, because it's just impressive. Everything from animals to insects to weather to everything.
So it's called Nature is Metal.
And it is.
And we've got Rick over here on Zoom that's joining us. And listen to Rick.
What is this?
I don't know. Richie, that was actually supposed to be at the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah.
That was kind of the plan. Hey, Rick, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah.
We have yet to make Rick smile. That's my.
He smiled. He just did. There it is.
Rick,
It's hidden. It's hidden under the beard.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, look. Tell us about what can you tell us about Nature is Metal? It's just
How you got started.
Yeah. We want. And let me say this. Look, I ask you a question, and I start talking.
Yes, he does.
But we thought, well, is this in our lane to talk about this?
100% this is in our lane.
I think it really is.
100%
Oh,
is
no
in our
doubt.
lane. I mean, no doubt. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I really am too.
The metal thing is neat. Like me and a buddy have this thing where when something's really cool, we say that's metal, dude.
That's right.
And I assume that that's kind of where he was coming from. But am I understanding that he is a musician? Rick, are you
I wouldn't call myself a musician anymore. I used to be.
okay?
I mean, I guess you never really.
Yeah.
Once you're a musician, you're always a musician. So I guess you're technically correct, but I don't really play as much as I used to. But yeah, that's pretty much where it came from. It all started with, I used to go on Instagram. Like this started 6 years ago. So I used to go on Instagram and I used to see like people posting like cute nature photos and stuff. And like, it was whatever. It didn't really bug me at first, but then I remember one post in particular. I remember like, I don't remember the account. I don't remember who posted it, but it was something like you remember like the Coca-Cola polar bears?
Oh, yeah.
Something like it was.
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah.
remember that was like the mascot for a while.
Yeah.
Well, someone had, I don't know, he posted a photo of him like he was petting a baby polar bear, or it was like a full grown in a zoo, like a full 8 foot tall polar bear. He was petting it and taking pictures of him petting it and posting on his Instagram. And it just drove me insane. I was like, because that thing in the wild doesn't even look at you as anything but food. Like you're nothing to that thing. You are not anything but like a
piece of
source
protein.
of food.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Protein.
Protein. That's right.
For some reason, this guy thought it was a good idea to, I don't know, show off that, oh, look at this. I can touch this death machine and it's not going to kill me. But the whole point of social media is like, and I mean, that's not the whole point, but the reach that you get on social media is, it's like crazy. It's like you can reach the amount of like a crazy amount of people with one post. And this one reached a lot of people, and there was a lot of people like, oh, I want to touch a polar bear. And it was like, something's got to be like, there was something that really like just really bugged me about that post. So that's where it started. Like I can use that as the source of
Your
where
inspiration.
this page started. Yes. I wish I could remember the account so I could like name them, but I can't. But so that's where it started. So I was like, what would happen if I just started posting stuff that was more realistic?
Yeah,
And
sure.
it started small, and it started really small actually. Like I remember at one point we had like, well, everyone starts at 0 followers, but when it was like really tiny, it was like 1,500, 1,600 followers. And then Joe Rogan started following us, or started following me. And I remember I was working with a friend of mine, and I turned to him, I showed him the phone. I was like, man, that's really cool. Like, look who just started following me. And we were like high fived or something. And then I forgot about it, just kept doing what I was doing. And then a month later, he reshared something on his like account. And ever since then, it's been bananas. Like
Wide open.
the account grew, like when he did that, the account grew like I would say to like 250,000 people within like 2 weeks.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Hey,
Yeah.
he's got quite
It
a
was
voice.
nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He does. And you're absolutely right about that polar bear, because everything I've read about them is if they see you, they're going to hunt you.
I never will forget when you said the Coca-Cola polar bear commercial. I was young. My grandmother was, old, obviously aging at that point in life, and she looked at me and said, "I don't know how they get them polar bears to skate like that." I was like, trying to explain to her, computer graphics back then, but it was hilarious when we said that. It brought back some memories. But I tell you what, straight up, I mean, nature's hardcore. I mean, when you really think about, what these animals are out there to do, I mean, it comes down to them surviving long enough to pass their genetics on to the next generation and raise those things up. And that is, that's as hardcore as it gets. You know what I mean?
So I've been following this page for a while. And look, I'll be honest with you, Rick, that there's some things I start watching it and I'll get about halfway through it and I'll go, that's enough of that. I don't need to see any more of that. I mean, there's just some things that are pretty rough, but I mean, I enjoy the page. Don't get me wrong. And I'm a, red-blooded, hairy-legged American male, and I love hunting and all that. But occasionally when those, and it's mostly around lines, like grabbing a gazelle or something
And
and
eating it?
well, and and it's still alive, and there's 2 or 3 of
I
them.
just can't believe you have such a hard time dealing with it.
Well, am I the only one, Rick? Have you heard that
No.
before?
No, I've heard that from a lot of people. I actually encourage the people in my family, like my close circle, to not follow it. I've told them straight up, don't. This gets really nasty. So I don't want you to think any different of me. So just we are, the way I like to talk about it is we are the antithesis of what social media is. Like I want this stuff to go far and wide, but I don't want people of course we want people to share it and stuff like that, but I hate social media.
I do too.
I'm here to to inject reality into it. There's no reality, especially now. Like the bigger social media gets, there's no reality in there anymore.
He's dead on.
So we're trying to, when I say we, I mean me, and I have a couple people that work with me, like people that search content and people that help me with our we're trying to do collaborations and stuff like that to get the name out there and stuff. But what we're trying to do is be the antidote to this craziness that's happening. And we will continue to do that for as long as we can. But I've heard that many times where I have an aunt that she'll text me every time she sees the number go up. Like when we hit 4.2 million, she'll say, "Oh my God, 4.2 million." I'll get a text. I'm not even paying attention to that number anymore, but she is. But she has told me before that there's just some stuff that she can't watch. And my mom has told me, my mom watches, she'll watch the stuff with tornadoes and stuff, but she won't watch anything with animals because she just doesn't want to see it.
The tornadoes scare me worse than animals.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, so do you think it's got a PG rating? Would you say it's PG 14 or something?
Maybe some stuff. Some stuff is definitely rated NC-17.
But I mean, the thing about
nature.
it is it's so real. There's nothing more real than what you're sharing.
That's right. And there's nothing more real than nature. I mean, it's just how, they don't care what their Twitter feed says. Again, they're trying to eat, they're trying to survive, they're trying to procreate, and they're trying to make it. You know what I mean? And that's pretty metal. I mean, it just is.
I mean, humans aren't really real anymore.
No, they're not.
That aspect.
I agree 1,000%.
Every other species of animal and plant is. I mean, they're fighting to survive.
Yeah, Dudley, as soon as this AI thing gets figured out that somebody can sit there and talk, you're probably going to be first one out the door over here.
Whatever.
You could work on your dendrology more. You
Yeah.
could walk through the woods, and he could have a AI thing doing his Ask Dudleys each week.
But I hate social media too, but I'm so incredibly addicted to it.
Yeah.
Oh, me too. But that's why I hate it.
Yeah.
'Cause it takes up so much of my time.
Yeah.
But when before it came out, I mean, you would give me an annual, a high school annual, and I would flip through it. You give me a magazine, I'm going to flip through it.
Yeah.
You give me a family picture book, and I'm going to flip through it. So
now
now,
you're just scrolling.
yeah, I hate to admit it, I really don't even read books anymore because social media came out.
That shortens your ability to be interested in something? Is
Well,
that
look, the way they design
No,
this
it
stuff,
just makes it easier to assimilate knowledge is by just flipping.
and don't
through
forget
a-
about the technology behind it. The way they're building it is so to engage with you in every aspect. So they are watching your every move and then feeding you the content that you're paying attention to. So
it really is. Well, let's get back to that.
yeah, here we
Let's
are. We're on
let's
the.
get back to
Let me get my
nature.
tinfoil hat off.
So, Rick, so how do you get all this content? Is that some kind of a secret, or can you share some of that?
Oh yeah, I can share it. We have a large enough reach that now we have like a content page, like a content submission page set up where we have people submit stuff. They submit like anything, like we get a lot of like hawks, because hawks are very common. So like everybody with a camera phone can probably get a picture of a hawk if they see one. So we get a lot of bird content, but we get stuff from like as common as like red tail or like Cooper's hawks to like people from Africa sending us stuff of like hippos attacking lions or like crazy stuff, right? So it ranges. In the beginning, we would just take stuff off Reddit and just upload it, but we got into a lot of we found out the limits of how far we can go with that when we started getting like copyright strikes and stuff like that. So right now we depend on submissions.
Yeah.
Submissions is like 90% of what we post.
Well, so like the other night I'm watching it, and so it's not only does it have this great video, but then there's somebody spends the time, and I assume it's Rick, to write out, hey, this is what you just watched. This is why this happened. This is what's going on. It kind of explains the whole thing. And there was I think it was a stork that had 3 babies, and she's standing there in the nest, and she picks up one of those babies and just
Chunks it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she knows she can't take care of them all.
That's right.
That's right.
So he's got an explanation of what's going on, and it's pretty fascinating.
It's
Pretty
very
tried.
fascinating, and it's stimulating because it causes you to think, and you think about other scenarios that may be related to that, like how humans do things, and you relate it to how animals do it, and it just messes with your mind even more. I don't know how to explain it.
So do you write all that copy, Rick?
Yep. That's what usually takes up most of my time each day is writing and researching content, and then spending the time to write it out, proofread it, make sure I didn't make any stupid spelling mistakes or like grammar. Like it's just, I don't know why I'm explaining to you why, like what it takes to write an essay. It's basically writing essays.
Yeah.
But I spend all that time like writing all that stuff out, along with all the other stuff like finding the content, making sure we're cleared to use the content, because when an account gets as big as ours, we also have to worry about like licenses now. So if we use a piece of content that's not licensed to us, we can get in like a lot of trouble, or like, I mean, it varies. Like it could be like a monetary penalty or something more, but there's a lot of things we got to watch out for. But sorry, to answer your question, and I feel like I did this already. Yes, I write the captions.
Yeah, and I could see how, because they are in depth. And so, Rick, we're kind of fascinated by big cats, and we like to think there might be panthers in the South where we live, but they're probably on. So Lanny has seen one. So Dudley and we're in the middle on all this. But so I find myself, when you've got these cat videos, watching those and reading about how they grab things around. Could you explain how a cat attacks? And I think you're really good at that from what I've read.
Yeah, they are ambush predators. So you won't know they're there until they're on top of you, for the most part. As long as if you're what they're after, yeah, you won't know they're there until they have you, or they're at least trying to get you or something like that. But which part of the South are you talking? Like, what kind of cats?
Well, we're in Mississippi, right here on Mississippi-Alabama line. So we know they're Florida Panthers, and we know out past, in Oklahoma, Nebraska, we know there's some mountain lions that make it out that way. But, it's just a lot of legend here in the Deep South about panthers, black panthers, and that sort of thing, so, I mean, we have a lot of fun with it. I don't think any of us take it all that serious, but we all would like to believe they're there.
I know what I saw. I mean, it wasn't a panther, but, I mean, I hear you, Bobby. I think he's poking fun a little bit.
Panthers are, so people use that word. I think they use it wrong, and I've been guilty of it too. The word panther just means, it's just a genus name. So when you say panther, you mean like the black variant?
He really doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well,
he uses that panther, just like you're saying, as a common term for all cats.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's actually more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
There are people down here that think they see mountain lions here in the South. And and a lot, and to their defense, if you ride through Mississippi and Alabama, there's Panther Calling Management Area, Panther Calling Creek, Panther Creek. So
Panther Swamp.
Panther Swamp. At some point, there had to be some reason that somebody named it that.
I would agree 1,000%.
Because they used to exist here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they've been seen recently.
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
Unless it's some random young male cat that decides to leave
go
Western
look for a new
Oklahoma
territory. Look for a new territory.
go on a mission.
Yeah.
But there are people that claim that they've seen them 3 and 4 times, and then there's even people that say they see a black variant, and that's what we're talking about here. But it's interesting that nobody's ever gotten a photo of one on a deer camera or something like that,
or a Bigfoot for that matter.
right?
So, what about jaguars?
It could be.
That's what I believe we were seeing is jaguars.
I remember seeing something in Arizona or New Mexico where they had they caught it on a trail cam, a jaguar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Something from
South America. Yeah.
Jaguarundi's a small one, but they're in the.
Well, I think Mexico.
South Texas
has jaguars.
South Texas has them.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those cats are fascinating.
You don't think they can just walk up the Texas coastline to Louisiana?
They might could. They might hitch a ride with a produce truck or something.
Yeah, then slip on over there to the Mobile River bottom.
So why don't you let's get back serious here for a second. And speaking of, Rick, I feel I'm lucky that I'm here today. I don't know if everybody knew this, but Rick, I'm speaking to you specifically. My dog last night ate a whole bag of Scrabble tiles. And a whole bag of Scrabble tiles. So
Copper did?
I didn't know if I was going to be able to be here today.
Copper?
That makes me, I'm sorry. This is just my 7-year-old mind is asking this question. But when it pooped, did it spell anything out?
So I was hoping you'd say how's he doing? And I was going to say, no word yet. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
There we go. Go ahead. There it is.
All right. I was trying to make Rick smile there. So,
it worked.
Yeah.
So, Rick, can you tell us some of your favorites? Posts or stories that have come in.
Yeah, what's your favorite post?
We'd love to hear.
What's the weirdest submission you've ever had?
That's a good question. I think, so
it doesn't have to, even if it's something that you weren't able to post. What's something crazy that you got?
The craziest stuff is the stuff that I would never share. Is so I don't know how to phrase this to keep it like
kids listening.
I don't know, but I'll put it this way. Anything with humans getting attacked by animals, I try to steer away from that. As long as I'll we had one a couple months ago of there was a guy riding his bike in like, I think he was in France or something, or I could be remembering that wrong.
I saw
but
that
he was doing some bike riding in France, and a buck, like a red deer, just came out of the forest and just nailed him, and just ran him through with the horn, like the antlers. So that's human involvement stuff that I will share, because the guy survived. He didn't die.
Right.
He got really hurt, but he was okay. The stuff I'm talking about is more like the really bad stuff, like South America. Like in South America, like they have drug cartels, and they like to dispose of things in the river.
Oh,
Am I making myself clear?
yeah, yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down there,
So
Rick.
yeah. So they'll take a video of like a crocodile finding this certain something in the water.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly.
And yeah, and I'm not sharing that stuff, because that has nothing, like that's so I also don't like sharing things where like there's a lot of people on Instagram that like feed stuff to their pets. I don't share stuff like that either, because that has nothing to do with the only natural thing about that video is the animal you're feeding.
Correct.
But he's in an artificial like enclosure. He's in your house, and he's not hunting. You're just making the food available for him.
Right.
So that stuff doesn't interest me at all. But I'm trying to think of my favorite post. It's hard, but I can think of one that's in the last year. My favorite in the last year was the one where this guy, man, it was like it was the coolest video. It's still one of the coolest videos I've ever seen. He was sitting there with his camera, and I think he's a pro photographer. That's what's another good thing about this account, is a lot of pro photographers will send us their stuff, and man, we appreciate them, because the amateur stuff's good, but the pro stuff is like, wow, it looks like Nat Geo quality. So he caught an orca. I don't know if you're familiar with this phenomenon, but in Chile and like Argentina, like Patagonia, the beaches there, they're not sand. It's like stones, and they're very smooth and like flat. So the orcas figured out that they could hunt sea lions on the beach by sliding on the beach stones, picking these things off the beach, and then wiggling back into the water. And he caught the entire thing on video, and like crystal clear. That's in the last year, that's my favorite. Probably the coolest thing I've ever had the privilege of sharing. There's another video I'm thinking of right now that is also, it's up there, but I think the orca one beats it. It's just this guy caught like the full sequence of like a cheetah catching I think it was a gazelle or something, like some small antelope. He caught the entire process, but like you get to see this cheetah, like it's going like 20, you could see it hitting 20, 30, and then a gear change happens in this cheetah's like body. You can see the thing, it just hits this other gear, and it just starts ripping through the grass. Man, it's one of the, like, those two videos right there, like I can watch those videos back to back for about an hour and I'll be happy. They're just incredible footage, like incredible feats of like being there at the right time and catching this on film. And then also they're allowing us to share it, which is like, still blows my mind that people trust us enough to give us their stuff. But
well, you know, when you have gotten to the level that you're at, it seems to me that it's like you're giving them free advertising by posting their.
We'll give them a platform to share their work with.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100%.
For sure. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, maybe they try with, I mean, Nat Geo's huge. Like they are like 200 mil. They've been around for God knows how long, and they have so many followers. Maybe it's hard to get a hold of them. Like the way they get a hold of us is just like DM. But I would imagine they have like 200 million followers on Instagram. So I would imagine their DMs are, you know, like 50 times or 100 times worse than ours. Like our DM, like my DMs, I can't even I can't keep track of anything,
Mm.
which I'm very glad you guys emailed us, because I would have lost it. I would have lost it for sure.
What's your DM like, Lanny?
You know, I don't. That's Chase. Yeah, I'll have to ask Chase.
You know, talking about social media, I mean, we got Lanny over here who's actually on social. He's got a code name.
Well, thanks, Bobby.
Now
it's out
everybody
there.
knows.
I've only kept that under wraps for
we'll
15
bleep
years.
that. And so, and when this whole process started with Rick, I felt like I was in a James Bond movie because we were communicating on some kind of a app platform that was very unique to me. But so all this has been kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna circle back and then we'll go on down with nature. But the fact that all this started as kind of like anti-social media is very interesting.
Yeah, he's trying to give everybody a reality check, which I think, you know, that is something that nature does for us every time, whether you're going offshore or getting out there, you know, actually being in the wild is one of the biggest attractions for me. So, because it is reality. You know?
So, Rick, I'd love to know: are you a guy are you a hunter? Are you interested in any of that, or just a nature guy?
I'm just a nature fan. I'm just a fan of it. I've never actually been hunting, but it's not something that I'm like, oh, hunting. It's something that I would love to do. I live in an area where I would need to drive like an hour plus to get anywhere where I could legally hunt where I live.
Well, you ought to come here. We can
Yeah.
go right out the back door right here.
Yeah, you
That's
ought to come.
amazing.
You ought to come spend a couple days down here with
Yeah,
us, and we'd even let you wear the antlers.
But I also would like to say though, I have no problem with hunting, like if you're hunting for like meat,
Yeah.
like to feed people, have at it, man. The only iffy one for me is like the trophy hunting.
Sure.
Like if you're there just to like cut the antlers off something and leave the rest of it in the forest, that kind of bugs me.
100% it bugs
Yeah.
us too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We call
It
it
really
wanton
does.
waste.
Yeah.
And it is
We do
not.
like the
Yeah.
trophy aspect, but
Everybody
we
likes
like
big
to
deer
eat
and big steer.
as much of the animal as we can.
Of course, and like I can see in the background, like there's trophies down there, but I'm sure that those animals, you didn't waste any of their any of the things they had to offer.
Oh, no.
no, they were delicious.
Yeah.
And
So
they
then, yeah.
they
Had
lived
some
a
last
much
night. It was delicious.
they
That's
lived a
right.
much better life than a chicken you buy from the grocery store. I can assure you
Exactly.
that. So, which is one thing. Another thing about your videos you share is it's so real. You know, to me, a cow that has to live in this enclosed thing its whole life and then
It's kind of weird.
get a shock to the head.
Yeah.
You know, but all people do is go to a grocery store and buy a package of meat. So
Mhm.
that's,
There is
it's
a
interesting
disconnect
how
there.
that works.
Well, it is a complete disconnect.
And it's really interesting to me to think about how some of the videos you share pass muster with the folks at Instagram, but yet I can't post a photo of me cutting up a deer I harvested to put in the
This
freezer.
is true. This is true.
So is there somebody you like call, or do you send a video to some, you know, when you get as big as you are, can you send a video to somebody at Instagram or wherever and get like a pre-approval before you post it? Or
No, it's a gamble every time. It's something that keeps me up at night sometimes.
Well, we have a
But-
hard time advertising like
Anything with guns.
elk chops, you know, like we offer farm raised wild game, and yeah, we can't even run
See,
a
that-
steak ad without us getting
That's-
blocked. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's strange.
It is strange.
That is strange. I have my problems with Instagram and social media in general are well documented. I've spoken about them on my Instagram page and like on other platforms and stuff. I mean, they're very selective in what it seems to me they're very selective in what they enforce. I don't understand the elk chops or like posting raw meat. I don't understand why that would get flagged. The only thing that makes sense to me is that it's not Instagram flagging you. It's people like, here's the thing. When you get flagged, is it a community guideline strike or is it a something else?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Dudley doesn't even remember what he told you a few minutes
No,
ago.
no, I don't. But yeah, now that I think about it, I'm assuming it's probably more likely
Somebody reporting it. or
somebody
something like that.
reporting it.
Yeah, that would make more
That's
sense.
my guess too.
Yeah.
Because it used to happen to us a lot, especially when we were starting out, because people like luckily we had a lot of people that supported us, but we also had a lot of people that followed us because they hated what we were doing.
Mhm.
And they would report our stuff in mass. And the way Instagram works is it just works like if they see like a large percentage of reports on one post, that post gets axed. And that's just how it works.
That's definitely what's happening to us.
So when we kind of had this idea, the way this concept for this podcast birthed, Rick, was I wanted to do one on how tough Mother Nature
That's
is.
right.
And so in my limited knowledge, I knew the Lindsays, the Jury, several other folk had rescued
us, yeah.
white-tailed deer that had antlers that were locked together from fighting, and they, went in with a chainsaw and rescued those. But so I was aware of stories like that. Or you hear stories about white-tailed deer being eaten from the rear end, still being alive in the couch, eating them, and Mother Nature's tough.
Oh, even the resiliency of Mother Nature too. What even seeing some of that hardcore stuff and then seeing these animals survive through it, because we've personally dressed whitetails out and seen where they'd had broken bones and then their muscles had calcified on them over a couple of years and they still managed to survive. It's just that instinct, that real instinct to survive. Elk, one of the elk we were lucky enough to harvest in New Mexico had completely broken, his skull from fighting. But he hung with it, and the pedicle ended up growing back over his eye. But his horn grew out of it. So, it was like, it really is amazing, the real resiliency and, how it's ingrained in them to survive. It really is.
So, our
All for one thing, Bobby. What's that?
a breeding opportunity for most
securing
of them.
that breeding opportunity. That's what it's all about.
But with what he's doing, it's a lot about eating, nutrition.
Well,
protein.
you got to eat in order to breed. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you make a good point. But I guess what I was saying is kind of my knowledge base was kind of here in the South and white-tailed deer and just how rough they can have it. But when you watch his page, it's stuff all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world.
And it's just amazing. I wish you could just tell a few stories of stuff that has been sent to you that just kind of struck in your mind as being extra rough.
Oh man. I have a folder on my computer of like, do not touch, do not share, do not show anybody that, because some of them are just, that's where a lot of the stuff where it's like the either human involvement or like I'm pretty sure if there's one video I've actually tried to share it on every platform and I've got a strike on every platform for sharing it. And it was a video. It's a licensed video now. So a company actually decided to put down money and buy this video off the person that made it. But yeah, it almost got me banned off YouTube. It got me banned off TikTok. TikTok is a whole other story, but it's like one of the hardest ones to get in on like with this type of content. But it was a video of a guy, he was screwing with a shark in the water, and the shark jumps up and grabs his thumb and like death rolls like a crocodile
Mm-hmm.
and just pulls his hand apart.
Yeah.
Like, it's disgusting. But I mean, that shark didn't bite you because it wanted it, like it felt like it. You were screwing with it.
Yeah, you're feeding it.
Play
Yeah,
stupid
so
games.
who's in the wrong here? Like,
Right. Don't go in the shark's house. Something else.
but that's just like one of those things, like, especially if it's like a bloody, like a human's getting hurt, even if that guy was fine, like the platforms don't like that stuff.
Yeah,
And
I can understand that.
I understand it too, right?
Mhm.
But because there's really no guideline. Like I'm learning the guidelines as I go still. Like it's been 6 years. But I'm pretty sure that that's one of them you don't cross is if a person like either gets seriously hurt or dies as a result of like an animal encounter, it's probably not safe to share.
Mm-hmm.
In my head though, like there are a couple that, I mean, they're still on my computer and I'm just waiting for the right time to share them.
Perfect.
There you go.
Well, have you
Yeah,
got
it's
have you
I
got
just,
some?
yeah, I have.
Have you got some that you've shared that you could describe so people could go back and look for them and see them? A little story behind, a little interest. If there's any interesting story to them.
Well, there was one. This one, it didn't get a lot of traction, and the reason I think it didn't is because there's this. A lot of people do this on Instagram, and I don't do it. I hate doing it. It's the wait for it. You know when they'll say, "Oh, wait for it." No, it's either you're catching this or you're not seeing it. I'm not telling you what to do because that's not me. I don't. The video's here. I'm sharing it for a reason. You know the content we share. Just watch the video. But it didn't get a lot of traction because it happens right at the end. So it's a blue heron, and like we've all seen blue herons hunt. They use their beak as like a spear, and they shoot it into like a where a mouse is hiding or like a vole or something like that, right? So it grabs this vole with the spear. Well, actually, no, it was a rabbit. In this particular one, it was a rabbit. It was like pretty big. So it grabbed the rabbit, and I guess it was holding it there. I guess it was waiting to transfer it from the end of its beak to get it in its mouth. But while it was waiting, I'm pretty sure it was a red tail, flew at it and scared it that it dropped what it had, and it just like took off with it. So it was like kleptoparasitism in action, which is just stealing prey from a better hunter. So it basically sat in a tree, watched this heron grab this huge rabbit, and then picked its spot, flew in and took it. And like it couldn't do anything about it.
Oh wow! Well, so like hyenas do that a lot, don't they? Animals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Lions do it too.
That
Lions do it a
video,
lot.
that video of the hyena eating the brain out of I think it's a hippo.
Yeah.
That one was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was
That was
gonna
nuts.
I was gonna tell you, I looked out my window one morning and there was a red-tailed hawk eating the head out of one of my chickens. But
Doing the old
serious?
peck
I
on it.
wasn't able to video it and send it to you. So,
Yeah.
Well,
and then I walked out there to see if it had gotten any other ones, and there was a chicken laying there dead next to the one that was having its head eaten out of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I guess it just got scared to death. And I went up there and I just started petting it like, like, oh, I'm sorry. And it came back to life. It like stuck its head up and jumped up and ran off.
It was like a fainting goat.
It just
was a
scared
fainting
it to
chicken.
death.
Yeah.
Not to death. So,
Oh.
playing
anyway.
dead.
Yeah, Rick, I'm sorry, but
No, I like that.
so look, you can't see Mac. He's waving. He's got a question for you. Go ahead, Mac.
All right, Rick. So since you get all these submissions and I mean you're finding all this information and video clips, what species of animal would you say that is the most ruthless? And then which species would you say you're most afraid of after doing this for 6 years? Like mammals, fish, birds, reptiles.
It's hands down. It's orcas.
Oh yeah, I was going
Hands
with you there. That's a
They're
killer
too
whale for a
smart.
region.
They're really smart. I was watching some of that Shark Week stuff a couple of years ago,
Wicked smart.
and they learned how to kill like great white sharks by convincing them to flip over on their back while
When they
they're
go to sleep.
swimming.
Yeah.
And they go to sleep.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
they force them to. They flip them. They know that flipping like a shark will put it to sleep, basically. I don't know how they figured that out. I didn't even know that.
but they're able to tell their buddies about how to do it. And they're, actually worried that
Yes.
they're going to drastically lower the populations of sharks.
Hey,
It's
there's
like
plenty of sharks
the
out there.
orca knowledge is spreading
The
to
orca.
other orcas.
Yeah. Yeah, they're amazing animals. They really are. One of the most intriguing animals I've ever seen. No doubt about it.
And this is the same animal when you go to SeaWorld in Orlando that's doing all the
Shamu.
trips.
Wasn't
tricks.
it Shamu? Was that
Well,
his
they're
name?
also the ones that can flip out and, kill their handlers and stuff. So
Well, think about it. They're used to having miles and miles and miles of ocean, and they're stuck in like this concrete.
it's really sad.
I'd be pissed.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It is terrible.
But so that thing that I was talking about before with the seals and the Argentinian beach, that's learned behavior, like the shark thing, where like one of them figured it out, and then it taught the other ones in its pod how to do it.
Y'all watch this.
Yeah, and what's really scary about them is how quickly they learn, and how like there is nothing in the ocean that can like if 20 orcas show up where you are and you're on their like and you're the target,
On the list.
I can't think of anything you could possibly do to get away. They're gonna chase you until you're exhausted. There's 20 of them. They'll take turns chasing you until you just can't run anymore.
Wow.
And then they're going to eat
It's terrifying.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. We're really lucky that we're not like they don't look at us as food yet.
Maybe they're that smart. We just hope they are.
Yeah.
That thing wouldn't taste good. It's been eating too many French fries.
I did hear something about this is just me remembering like a story someone told me or an article that someone shared with me, so this could be wrong, but there was somewhere in the world where I think an orca got hit by a boat, and then in retaliation for that, the orcas of this pod started attacking fishing boats,
Whoa.
trying to flip them over and stuff. Again,
Modern day
take that with a grain of salt because
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but it's something that I need to look up.
super jaws.
Kind of along that same lines, this is in my memory of a story that I read about polar bears, is that so they're up there in the Great White North, and there'll be a hole that seals will pop up out of and come out and lay. I don't know if they're laying in what they're doing. I guess they are laying in the sun. They're black. It absorbs. Maybe it warms them up. But so these polar bears will lay there and they'll take a paw and put it over their nose so their black nose isn't visible. So that when that seal looks around, he does. But, I mean, they are an unbelievably efficient predator up in that North Country. I think if one sees you, because there's been stories. Remember Bob Folkrod bow hunted a polar bear? I mean, I can remember him telling me that they said if that son of a gun sees me or sees us, all of a sudden
That's
we're the
your
hunted.
ass, Mr. Postman.
Yeah, and he killed one with a bow and arrow. Yeah, so Mac's got another question. Go ahead, Mac.
All right, Rick, I've got one more. If you were to go hunt an animal, what animal would you want to go hunt?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know.
So, Rick, I'm going to jump in here and just point something out real quick. We've got, without telling where you are, we've got a friend that lives very close to you, and I think we ought to hook them up, and I think we ought to create an opportunity for Rick to go hunting. I think you would really enjoy it, Rick.
Whitetail hunting?
Or maybe goose or duck hunting, but we could do something. We've got a friend that lives pretty close to him. And maybe we get him started there, and then we bring him down here for some big time stuff. But Rick, I would love the opportunity to introduce you to
Once
that.
we put one of these whitetail loins on the grill, you'll be in. You'll be in.
We've got Wi-Fi down here, so you could
We
manage
just got
your account.
we just got the internet.
So now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it would probably be something small, like bird.
Yeah.
Like a bird or something.
Yeah, most people start out with feathers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then actually, it's funny, you end up back at feathers too, as long as you do it, because there's just something enchanting about them, that's for sure.
It's something I would like to try, definitely. So I'm open to it.
Okay,
I gotta
so
tell
you're
you,
telling us there's a chance.
There's a chance. And a
That's
seared, if we start with waterfowl, a seared duck heart is one fine morsel. I don't have to tell you. It
Sounds
is.
amazing.
Now, Rick, you don't have to lie to him. That doesn't sound that amazing, does it?
They
mean,
are
No,
good.
I've
I'm just
had chicken hearts.
Yeah,
I've
they're
eaten chicken
delicious.
hearts in a restaurant, and it was actually really good.
And they are good.
Duck
I
heart
mean-
actually does sound really good.
Okay.
Thank you, Rick.
All right. So, what should we be asking you? If you probably had some things you wanted to cover.
Oh yeah, we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah.
The Eco Defense Group, the partnership we're starting with. I mean, it's not really starting now. It actually started a couple of years ago, but this one is like it's like official.
Yeah, Lanny,
Where,
this is interesting.
Where because so the company that I'm talking about, the Eco Defense Group, is they are a group of I don't know exactly if they're former members of the military or they just know how to like they train military personnel or like field operatives to protect, excuse me, they're protecting like rhinos and endangered animals in Africa.
Oh,
So
I've heard
they'll-
about this. This is cool.
Yeah, they're a quiet group though. They don't really like advertise and stuff, which I mean it's part of their thing, but we're gonna try and get them more attention and hopefully get them more donations because they need things. They need like fuel for their helicopters, trail cameras, equipment like boots, stuff like that. They need because in Africa it's hard to source some of that stuff, right? So but basically what their job is to keep it aligns with us really well because what they're trying to do is keep the wild as possible.
Yeah.
Like,
They're
no interference with humans, stuff like that.
they're gamekeepers.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, they really,
Basically, yeah. But the company itself, the company we're supporting, they're training gamekeepers.
Nice.
So, like, I don't think they actually. If there's an Edge representative sorry, they used to be called Edge. I misspoke. EDG representative on the ground, it would just be like a guy that's like telling them like, in case they're gonna have like there's like an intelligence aspect to it where like they have helicopters that fly around. Like I don't know exactly how they operate, but one thing that they did want me to mention was they don't like saying where they're operating because they don't want people to know, because if they're operating in the area, that means there's something they're trying to protect in the area.
Yeah, we totally
don't
get
want-
that. We,
yeah.
we,
So,
we don't
like-
we don't tell where we're hunting either. So,
Yeah,
but
so-
so you know when you told me this in our James Bond pre-call, that thing that we had, it was like you were talking about how these. And what I've read and understand, that these poachers in Africa, I mean, they're at times they can be pretty sophisticated because there's a lot of money at stake, and so these guys are training locals and other people down there, from what I understand, to be able to be a green wall
Yeah.
against that kind of activity. It's a fantastic cause.
Yeah. And so what we're doing in the next couple of weeks is we're going to start all of the merch that we sell on our website, like a percentage of that will go to them, like right out the door. As soon as it happens, it just goes right to them. And we're also going to start releasing shirts, like collaboration shirts with them to generate funds and then send that money to them as well. It's just it's really close to, like, it's hard to quantify it, but like we are popular because of animals being animals.
Mm-hmm.
If animals can't be animals anymore, like we can't operate the way we operate. So this makes sense to us. Like I don't want people going in there killing all the rhinos, because they're like elephants. They're very big and they make they make life easier for smaller animals around them. Without rhinos, things change drastically down there. It's like taking it's like when we took wolves out of North America for 100 years or whatever.
Yeah.
They get really like screwed everything up, or the way some people explain it, it screwed everything up. So same idea.
Yeah, well,
It's
so
a keystone species.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yep.
so I mean, we love all animals. I mean, that's kind of the heart of the gamekeeper. So we certainly want to see. Look, we want to support this. I actually spoke to Spartan Cameras. They're a sponsor of our television show. I think they're going to help you. So we'd like to get behind you, Rick, and help these other guys.
100%.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it's right in our wheelhouse, as we like to say. So yeah, and you know what, Rick, at some point we'd like to maybe get you and somebody from the Defense Fund to come on and explain what they're doing. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So Lanny, have you got any more questions?
I'm actually shopping. I'm getting me some Nature's Metal Gear.
He's got some cool
I know.
merch. I knew you would like. Lanny
Yeah.
wears only black.
Yeah,
so
it's my color.
He's like
Imagine
Johnny
that.
Cash.
I
over
wear
here.
camo and black.
So
Yeah. And green sometimes.
look,
Check back in a week.
All right. Sounds like some new merch drop is coming. All right. Sweet.
yeah, and I'm sending Rick some companions.
All
Got him to
right.
go shop in the companion
Oh,
store.
good
See what he
deal.
likes.
Good
So,
deal. Good deal.
Yep. So Dudley, have you got another question?
Well, you're on this subject of Africa and African wildlife, and this may be kind of a touchy subject that we can't even post. But
Maybe,
what
maybe
is
not.
what is your take on like the trophy hunting in Africa? Do you think that is overall good for protecting the wildlife, or do you think that can be a detriment, or do you know enough about that?
It's, from what I know, I can only speak from what I know. But so trophy hunting in Africa, actually, it's a net positive. Let's say it like that.
That makes
Uh,
sense.
Sometimes, like, I don't agree with the method, but like, for instance, I've heard stories of like problem elephants. Problem elephants are a problem because they're huge and they can just like destroy fences, houses. They can take it, like, it's when people build houses in like an elephant's like their territory, and the elephant doesn't like it, and it has a problem with humans for whatever reason because they live so long and they never forget anything. I actually think that's a true thing. They don't forget. They'll remember you. So from what I've heard, a lot of times when they do this trophy hunting, that is the goal. It's to get this problem elephant off of their, like, to stop it, basically. Like, you can pay 20, I don't know how much they pay for these trips, but you can pay this, and this amount of money can rebuild the entire town. And all it takes is this hunter gets to come in, pay this money, and he gets to take care of your problem for you. Now, again, I don't like trophy hunting. I'm not really cool with that. But in Africa, I'm pretty sure, like, once that guy takes what he wants from that animal and he pays this money, the rest of that animal is going to get used by
The
the
village.
town.
Yeah,
1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's my.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I know I said I don't like trophy hunting, but when it comes to that stuff, if it's actually helping them, like, it's not just a guy walking in, paying the money and paying the money to one guy to shoot like this lion or whatever, and then just goes home and that guy just pockets the money. That I don't agree with.
Mm-mm.
But if it can actually help the people living there, and like it can solve a problem for them and help them rebuild like the results of that problem, then I don't want to say I don't see a problem with it, but I can see it as a net positive.
Yeah, and I think he put it in a good way, and
100%.
so now some of the locals now all of a sudden look at wildlife as, hey, that's helping our community, and so they are not poachers anymore. They are trying to help with the wildlife.
They protect it because it
Exactly.
brings that
Yeah, 'cause it has
clientele.
value.
Because there are fees that are paid to each I don't know if they have counties or communities, but there are large fees.
Gets
that are
back
paid.
to the community.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
So-
thanks for giving us your heartfelt opinion on that. That can be a touchy question.
Yeah, it's a
for
touchy
sure.
one for me. For
It
sure.
is. You remember a couple of years ago, like that guy, the dentist, got like run out of town for that lion.
Yeah,
Cecil.
I did,
Oh,
yeah.
Cecil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's when I learned about the African style trophy hunting,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot more complicated. But so yeah.
Yeah,
It's foreign
complex.
to us too. It really is. but-
Mhm.
And then, have you ever had someone who really, really disagreed with what you do? Have you ever had something scary happen? Where, you know, somebody
Close
may
to
have
it.
figured you out or whatever. Have you ever had a scenario like that you'd want to mention?
So especially when the account got like it started getting really big, I was getting like I don't want to call them death threats, but they were certainly not happy with me. They were just very not happy with me. But that's how I'm gonna keep saying it, because I don't know how else to say it. Because they really seemed like they were angry, but they didn't know who I was. And that's part of the reason why when we were talking about doing this, I asked if I could have my face not shown, just because like I like you don't know who's walking around, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
And but that hasn't, none of that stuff's happened in a while. So that's just me being paranoid from like a couple of years ago.
Sure.
I was also like at this one, I don't know if I should mention it, but let's just say I'll just say the word blackmail.
Okay.
And it was resolved, but it was a scary couple months. I'll say that.
Wow.
But yeah, it was right near the beginning, like within the first couple of years, like first 2 years, I would say.
Wow. We got hacked last week, Rick, ourselves.
So what does hacked mean? Does that mean they figured out your password, or did they like break it?
They broke in and basically got all our files and encrypted them, and then sent a ransom note to say, hey, if you want your files back, you need to get on this Onion router, kick on our chat bot, and give us some money. That's basically how it worked.
Man,
Yeah.
you guys got that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I really don't think they knew what they had, because it really wasn't that valuable, because we were just like, oh, hell, we'll run off the backup from a couple weeks ago.
We'll just start over.
We just started over. So it wasn't like financial information. It was a bunch of art files and working files for stuff like that. But yeah, no, it happens. It's a very common kind of occurrence these days.
They went halfway through
Yeah,
mine.
that's-
Did they?
Yeah,
And
it
just
seems to be
stopped.
happening a lot.
Yeah, they went halfway through Max and said, he didn't have anything
Just
on here.
stopped.
Just let him keep on going.
Oh, wow.
We thought they were wanting a turkey vest. That's probably what it was.
So, Rick, we got two more things we'd like to do with you. Dudley prepares some questions. We call it rapid fire, and he'll ask you some questions real fast. And it's brought to you by our friends at Springfield Armory. And so it's usually fun. And then after that, we've got one more trivia question where you're playing for one of our listeners to win a prize. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dudley.
Okay. Well, I'll be the first to say, Rick, you're probably the most difficult person I've ever had to prepare these rapid fire questions before, because I really don't know you or know much about your personality. You kind of live a bit of a secretive lifestyle, and now that I know you don't hunt, I had to
Did you
mark
make some
through
modifications?
I had to make some modifications, but we're gonna try this. Okay.
It's just pretty easy.
Okay.
He's going to say, give you a couple choices. You can choose one, choose the other, or say neither or both. So I don't think there's
Okay.
really a wrong answer.
Okay. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Oatmeal or grits?
Oatmeal.
Pop, cola, or Coke?
Ginger ale.
I was meaning like, because of where you're from, or you call it a pop or
Okay. Oh, that makes more sense. I think we just call it a pop or Coke. It
Yeah.
could go either way.
Okay, interesting. Cornbread or roll?
I love cornbread, but they're not. It's not that common up here, so I have to answer roll.
Okay, T, sweet or unsweet?
Unsweet.
Do you call it a possum or an opossum?
Possum.
All right, now music stuff. I know you're a music. You like music from way back. So, Dimebag Darrell or Dave Mustaine? Favorite guitarist?
Dimebag.
All right.
Who?
No
Dimebag
question.
Darrell, dude.
Danny,
Legend.
Danny Carey or Nico McBrain?
Danny Carey.
Boom.
Who?
Swim with orcas or swim with a hippo?
Ooh. Oh, that's pretty gnarly.
Orcas only because they won't look at me as food.
Deer hunt or duck hunt?
As with the other question, duck.
All right. And lastly, would you prefer to use a modern amp or would you like to use an old vintage tube amp?
I like tubes. Like the way tubes
Nice.
sound.
Boom. Okay.
Good job.
Wow. That's that really.
The only musician Bobby knows is Neil Diamond.
Well, yeah. So is Jefferson?
Wait, and John Denver. You
is-
do have a John Denver album.
Is
don't you?
Jefferson Starship? Is that a metal band?
No.
No.
They're
not even
okay.
That's like the fourth incantation of what was the original version?
Airplane.
Airplane.
Yeah, Jefferson Airplane.
So this guy Rick that we're talking to, I just realized. Does anybody? Could this be Rick James?
I don't
It
know.
could be. I
Could
mean,
be.
they definitely have a similar accent.
I haven't heard anything out of Rick James in a long time.
It could be.
We both play bass.
There you go.
Just saying. Just saying. All right. So, Rick, now we're turning it. Look, there's a chance you get one question. And if you get this right, one of our listeners wins a prize. If you get this wrong, well, I don't know what we're going to do because we can't give him your information. But so let's try to get this right, okay?
Sure.
All right, Rick. So you're playing for J.S. Copeland, who left us a review, and the prize says, Laney, you're going to have to check on this. It says dummy line and a GK cap and a long beard light. So the dummy line,
wow.
I'd assume, is the book.
Yeah.
But it's not a hunt at the dummy line.
Oh, good.
Well, hell
I
no.
mean, he gets one turkey. If
All right,
he wants to
so
give
he's
it to
getting-
somebody else.
And
he
then a
can.
Longbeard Light is a collectible beer that we've got it.
Yeah,
And,
that's one we introduced at the NWTF. Sure did.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a Biologic T-shirt in every gift pack going forward too, courtesy
There you
of,
go. Yeah,
of Bobby.
well, I didn't even know we had them.
Exactly.
All right,
So
Rick,
now
you
don't-
ready?
You don't have them in inventory anymore, so we're giving them away.
Okay.
All right, so what is the term that describes when a word is spelled the same backwards and forwards? So an example would be a band ABBA or the word race car.
I figured he knew about the band ABBA. They're light metal, aren't they?
Do I have a? Is there like a time limit?
No,
No.
you got a few. You can
Okay.
look at you. You can scratch your
There's gonna be a
head.
lot of dead air.
So,
right now.
so there's one of these that's kind of like a national treasure, and it's if I've got it right, Laney, I'm looking at you. It's a man, a plan, a canal, Panama, and if you do that
All
backwards,
those the same way.
it comes out the same way. Race car. And
I don't know. I'm
Ah.
sorry.
I really thought he would when he said the band ABBA. I thought
Out
he-
of everybody we've interviewed, I would think he would be the best at answering that question.
So, Rick, let's Dudley wasn't aware of this question, so I'll let you use him as a lifeline, and Dudley doesn't know either.
I don't know either.
Richie, do you know?
I know what it is.
Okay, all right, let's look at Lanny.
What's it called?
A palindrome.
That's exactly right.
Oh, my
That's
gosh.
exactly right.
And only
I have
you
heard that word
would ask
before.
this question. Yeah.
A
Man.
palindrome.
Well,
Okay.
You
In
know.
Bobby's previous life, he was an Arthur. Arthur, however you say that.
So, yeah, well, so I just trying to make everybody learn something every week. So that was fun. So
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
Jay Copeland can get in touch with us there. Yep.
Well,
Can you send me that guy's address? I'll send him some of our merch because
Nice.
I lost.
that's great.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That'd be awesome.
So what else is there anything else? Anybody got anything else we need to talk about? Lanny, you look like you're thinking.
I
over
just,
there.
I've my whole life, when I look at his page, I think about, I don't know it wasn't as hardcore, but watching growing up on Mutual Omaha's Wild Kingdom and being awed by the wildness and the pureness and the realness of nature. That's why we do what we do. And I think, his page does a really good job to his point in this whole, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but fake world, we could tend to get caught up in today with all these media aspects. So thumbs up, Rick. I mean, that's awesome. Keeping it real, letting people know, what's real is real. And like you said, life eats life, and nature is freaking metal. I mean, it's hardcore out there. It really is. So I just continue to be amazed by the sheer coolness of nature. Quit giving me my music, Richie. This is what y'all pay me to do.
So, Rick, we're real impressed with your site.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We enjoy it, and you need to go follow our Gamekeeper page.
Yeah.
And Mossy
Oh,
Oak,
absolutely.
and we got a TV show. It probably doesn't air. Okay, look,
Mark
that time code. We gotta cut that
Yeah,
out.
broke
I'm not gonna say
security,
that.
Bobby.
Yeah, mark that time code. But we got a television show. You might catch that sometime. But I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing about Rick go. Maybe taking Rick go hunting.
I'd like to do that.
I
Rick,
think
I'm
you'd
very
love it.
serious. We'd love to
have you.
to
No
hook you
doubt
up.
about
That'd be great. I would love that.
Cool.
It might even be that some Mossy Oak camo could be in his merch offering. We could figure out a way to make
Why
that
not?
work.
Everything's better in bottom lane.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Dudley, you're rocking back and forth like Rain Man. Have you got something you need to say?
No, I'm just overwhelmed that we're talking to one of my Instagram heroes.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That's exactly right.
we're just really glad to have you, and you're even cooler than I thought you were.
No doubt.
So this is great.
No, thanks. Honestly, guys, thanks for having me. And that palindrome question is gonna kill me. To answer that, I should have known that, man. But thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to talk about the EDG
Absolutely.
partnership we're having with. And if that's something you really want to do, we could probably get someone from EDG to come on like down the line sometime.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we'd
I
love
think
that.
so.
Yeah, we'd love to talk about
Yeah.
that. That's for sure.
For real.
That'd be great.
For shizzle, as we say sometimes.
That's not metal. That's not metal.
Hey, I love Snoop Dogg. I love him. So you could say it's great.
I don't even know if Bobby knows who Snoop Dogg is. You know, my wife went to a Snoop Dogg show when she was pregnant with my middle child. So
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snoop's awesome.
All
I
right.
love that guy.
I do too. Good
Well,
stuff.
this has been fun. It's been. I would encourage everybody to go on Instagram
Yeah.
to
Give him a
Nature
follow.
is Metal and
No doubt
and
about it.
check him
Get
out.
some of that
So-
you
cool
might
merch.
get 2 or 3 more followers after this podcast.
Yeah.
So be
Pretty
checking.
awesome.
Just as long as they behave, I'm good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, guys. Well, I can't think of anything else. Lanny, what about you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. Well, why don't you say goodbye, Dudley?
All right, Rick. Thanks again. Goodbye,
Rick.
Dudley.
Get us out of here, Mac.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper Podcast. And be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine, and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.